Esta canción que canto, amigos, es una más de dolor. Si es que me ven llorando, amigos, discúlpenme por favor.
Let's get to it. Mexico's World Cup run is officially over. During the round of 16s, they lost against Harry Kane and the England squad. So today, as the last World Cup episode, I want to start tackling the question right away. And the first question I want to start off with is, guys, what happened? What happened to Mexico? So whoever wants to start, what happened? Where did...
I'll go ahead and start. Yeah, so I think on paper it looked like they did the same because we got out at the round of 16, which historically is the same place where we always get out. They invented this new like round of 32, but I think at the round of 32, even the opposition is still not the same as like in prior World Cups where it's the round of 16. On paper, they got out at the same time, but I do think they performed a little bit better overall because they won all 4 games prior to that. They hadn't conceded goals, and supposedly it was like a historic run, right? But again, I think what happened is that they gave us this false confidence because they just played against weaker opposition, so they looked really good. I seriously thought they were gonna go like a lot further, but I think it was just the opposition that wasn't that good, and then once they faced the real opponent like England, you could just tell that there's levels to this game. I mean, even during the match, my brother was like, "Man, why aren't they like passing like when they were doing against Ecuador, where they were connecting like 5, 6 passes and like crossing into the box, and they just looked so good against Ecuador." And I just told him like, "Dude, there's levels to this game, man. England is levels above Ecuador and levels above Mexico." So I think we punched up and they did good in that game against England. But ultimately the better team won.
So England was the better team?
Yeah, I mean, they were down to 10 players. Mexico couldn't fucking equalize, even though they had more than a full half to do so. And the quality of the individual players is better, yeah. Just on paper alone, like Jude Bellingham alone is like worth $150 million versus like, some of the Mexicans are worth like in the 5 to 10 million. So dollars wise, yeah, they are better. But the thing we were saying about England is that when they create a national team, that they just don't click. But I think they've been clicking this World Cup pretty good. And freaking Jude Bellingham, dude, that guy's a beast, man. He scored the 2 goals. He slipped by like the defenders, created space, scored the goal. But then he's on the other end in the defensive side, like saving goals and shit. Dude, that guy was all over the pitch, man. He doesn't get tired. That guy's a freaking beast. And then the other guy that was really good from England that I hadn't seen was the Gordon guy, the Güerito. That guy's fast as hell, dude.
That guy was fast,
what the fuck? Dude, every time that fool would get the ball, he just like leave defenders in the dust. I was like, holy shit, that guy's fast.
So do you guys think that during that round of 16, Mexico played enough to win? Do you think they played well enough to win? Or do you guys think that they had no chance throughout the game?
Yeah, I think in past episodes, Carlos especially has been critical of like their heart and determination. I think they played with heart. For sure, they were down 2-0, and they came back, right? So the heart and determination was there. I think at the end, what messed them up was the coach's choice to take out their 2 best players, Quiñones and Gilberto Mora, and he put in 2 more central defenders. And it was just fucking funny that they kept like crossing the ball into the box, and all 3 defenders were like in the same location, doing the same thing, raising their hand, like passing for it. And it was like each one was a carbon copy of the other, and it just seemed like it was like pointless. Like he put the same person 3 times, and they were all gonna do the same thing. I think what he needed was more midfielders to take advantage of England's tired legs and go through the middle. Like someone that could take people on, not afraid to like go 1v1, create the space and take shots, as opposed to doing the same thing. Dude, they just kept spamming crosses, and it was predictable. I think they played good. It was more about the coach not making the right decisions.
Carlos, what do you think? Were you surprised that Mexico was eliminated?
Lo voy a decir en español para que todos se me entiendan.
No, pues aquí yo dije que iban a hacer lo mismo de siempre. Y sí hubo un cambio de que no hicieron lo mismo de siempre porque ganaron los 3 juegos de la fase de grupo. Pero al final del día yo pienso que México tuvo todas las oportunidades a su favor para pasar a la siguiente fase de los mejores 8 y no lo pudo aprovechar. Tenía la ventaja de la localía, tenía la ventaja de todo el apoyo que eso trae del público. Le regalaron un penal, en mi opinión, que los volvió a meter al juego. Expulsaron a un jugador de Inglaterra en primera mitad o la segunda mitad, no me acuerdo, pero tenían la superioridad numérica. En fin, tenían todo para hacer historia y no lo hicieron. Sí pueden decir de que hay niveles y que Inglaterra vale más en papel, ¿no? Un jugador de ellos vale quién sabe cuántos millones comparado a todos los valor numérico de la selección de México, pero al final del día yo creo que es muy decepcionante de que México no haya avanzado en esta ocasión, considerando que el Mundial estaba siendo jugado en casa, en el Estadio Azteca, y pienso que es un reflejo así como de la mediocridad de lo que es el fútbol mexicano, teniendo tanto potencial para ser una potencia a nivel mundial, cuando tienes una población de más de aproximadamente 130 millones de personas que son muy apasionadas, que tienen una herencia guerrera, son gente muy trabajadora eh, y que por los intereses de los que son dueños del fútbol mexicano pase lo mismo, lo mismo, lo mismo. Siento que sí es una falta de respeto para la afición mexicana. Y sí, estoy de acuerdo con mucho de lo que dijo Edgar, pero a mí lo que me jode es de que son jugadores profesionales. De esto viven, se les paga por hacer esto, y el hecho de que no pudieron aprovechar la ventaja numérica con la localía y que no hubo creatividad para atacar a Inglaterra y que solamente estaban tirando hoyazos, como dijo el Tuca Ferretti, a ver qué pasaba, con 3 centrodelanteros que Edgar dijo que eran muy similares, me hizo extremadamente frustrante.
Pura jalada.
No recuerdo ningún tiro de media distancia que pusieran aprietos al portero inglés. No recuerdo ninguna pared por ninguna de las dos bandas que los permitiera llegar a línea de fondo y de línea de fondo sacar un centro retrasado, un verdadero centro. Entonces fueron como media hora así como de centros, así como que a ver qué pasa. Y pues no pasó nada porque Inglaterra estaba bien organizado. Más allá de que Inglaterra sea mejor equipo, de que tienen más jerarquía, yo pienso que también hay un aspecto mental que no se discute mucho, que cuando Inglaterra entra al campo de juego, ya se cree que ganó. Ya se cree que por la camisa que traen, eso los va a llevar a la siguiente fase. Y hay unas tomas de Jude Bellingham donde está comunicándose con sus jugadores y la cara que hace, ¿no? Es una cara así como que tranquilo, Simón, dámela ahorita, así como que no hay pedo", así como si ya estuviera resuelto el juego.
Ujú.
Y yo pienso que los jugadores de México tienen lo opuesto. Oh, es Inglaterra.
Qué miedo.
Ajá, no
Y-
tanto así, no
o,
tanto
o
así.
vamos a perder.
Ajá, en el subconsciente pienso que sí tienen así como que, oh, pues lo normal que pasa es de que ellos ganen y que nosotros vamos a perder. Y pienso que eso termina pasando. Y también estoy de acuerdo que los cambios del técnico de la selección de mexicana fueron bien desafortunados de sacar a su goleador, Quiñones, y de sacar al jugador creativo que podía hacer la diferencia desbordando, entrando en el área, tal vez buscando un penal, otro penal, o filtrar un balón. Entonces, para resumirte, lo mismo de siempre. Y desde aquí te digo que en 4 años más, México va a quedar eliminado en los mejores 16, porque, por lo que dije, ¿no? De que son intereses de que son más importantes que desarrollar el deporte y hacer un equipo que compita a un nivel internacional.
Pero si todo esto es un negocio, porque otros países pueden y este no. O sea, el fútbol en este mundial se ha visto que ha sido un negociazo. Right? Pero ¿por qué las élites de Europa, hasta ahorita, hasta países hasta africanos están mejorando, Japón está mejorando. ¿Por qué México no? Que es la corrupción en sí, en la federación del país, o simplemente los jugadores no se están yendo a Europa, o, o por qué no, o es como dices tú, is it a mental game? Is it just something mental that a Mexican will always think like, no matter how good I am, no importa qué tan bueno Gilberto Mora es, I'm not, I'm never gonna win.
Pues mira, voy a tener que empezar diciendo de que yo siempre fui un jugador amateur, que jugó mucho tiempo. Entonces no soy un profesional. Y tampoco sigo mucho la Liga Mexicana, francamente. ¿Por qué? Porque se me hace aburrida. Porque creo que le quitaron el descenso. Creo que lo que pasa es de que los últimos lugares de la liga pagan una cuota y se quedan compitiendo en la liga más alta del profesional del fútbol mexicano. Ahí para empezar, eso huele a un montón de mierda y corrupción. Estancan- Estás estancando el nivel porque no estás permitiendo a otros equipos que suban. Como si tienes una liga debajo de la más alta y tienes un torneo en donde gana alguien obviamente el campeonato, no le estás dando la oportunidad para que suba y del equipo peor de la liga más alta que baje. Ahí ya estamos mal. Y luego también sé de que si pones a México en contexto del resto de América Latina, no hay otra liga en América Latina que pague mejor que la Liga Mexicana. Entonces los jugadores les ganan más en México que en Brasil, en Argentina, que en Uruguay, que en Colombia. Entonces tienes mucho sudamericano que va a jugar a México y de México si sobresalen, dan el brinco y van a Europa. No hay ningún incentivo para que jugadores mexicanos se vayan a foguear a las ligas de Conmebol, que yo creo que probablemente juegan a un nivel más competitivo que la Liga Mexicana. Jugadores que yo recuerdo que hayan ido así como a jugar a Argentina, por ejemplo, creo que Luis Hernández fue a jugar con Boca Juniors, el matador.
Ujú. Sí.
Ya no recuerdo a nadie más. No recuerdo ningún un solo jugador mexicano que haya ido a la liga brasileña a competir y a foguearse, ¿no?
Ujú.
Otra cosa que no pasa, México no manda equipos profesionales a la Copa Libertadores, que yo pienso que tiene un nivel muy alto. No solamente yo, probablemente mucha gente está de acuerdo. Y México tampoco está compitiendo en la Copa América. Entonces la competencia de México es aquí en la CONCACAF. Y pues la CONCACAF es una liga, yo creo, bastante limitada, ¿no? De México, Estados Unidos, Canadá, ciertos países del Caribe. Y pues cuando te enfrentas con equipos de Sudamérica que tienen más fogueo, más cancha, y pues si no compites con Sudamérica, hay pocas posibilidades de competir contra equipos europeos.
And actually that's funny you say that because I was one of the thoughts that I had was I felt like Mexico and the US are okay being the top dogs in our area. Because even the US, right, Edgar, they didn't do that well during the round 16, right?
Yeah, we're like a big fish in a small pond, and I think they're okay with that. And just one more thing I want to say about Mexico is I saw a stat that they are amongst the elite countries that have made it the most times to the World Cup, and it reminded me of a movie called is it F1 or it's like this like European race car driver,
No, it is
and they're
a
trying
fun.
to hire a driver to win for the company. And they're trying to sell them this company that or this driver that like is consistent. He's like, yeah, he always comes in the top 5. Like every fucking race, he's come in top 5. But we have this other driver that is like un malandro, is like this bad boy. He may win first place or he may win last place, but you know, there's a better chance of him winning the championship than like this consistent guy. So like teams like Italy, Germany, they've been champions and then they've also crashed out of the group rounds or don't even qualify like Italy, right? And so I was thinking that with Mexico, I kind of like that every single World Cup I get to party, I get to have a good time because they always make it. They always do well in the group rounds. always guaranteed that they make the next round of 32. And yeah, it's a guaranteed good time that I'm gonna have watching Mexico. So is it better to have that, or they don't qualify some years, and but one of these days they're gonna win the World Cup? I don't know, man. I kind of like the participation trophies.
And that's the thing. I think that one of the things that happened during the World Cup is Mexico and the U.S. were the two top countries that sold the most jerseys.
Really?
Yeah. And
I
the
also
third one,
heard that the England Mexico match was the highest viewed game in U.S. history.
and for the local economy here, I think it did a lot of good. So it was it did good.
I mean, speaking of the local economy, just look at Edgar's mug
Exactly.
and talking all this trash about FIFA. And look at the mug.
that. But
It was a gift, but yeah, I
Yeah.
like it. It's like, yeah, this is cool.
And then what's funny is that I don't think that's an accident, because recently, in U.S. sports, what's happening is that ownerships are changing of teams. They're becoming private equity firms that are buying teams, and the only thing these guys care about is just revenue. So it's like they don't care if the team wins a championship. If they win a championship, it's like a stock doing really well one year. It's like, oh, cool, they won. All they care about every year getting profits, and so it's like a group of 10, of 5 to 10 people investing into a team and just getting profits, right? And so if it works, cool. But they don't really care if the team wins or not, and hence the fans are not getting good return, right, in their team.
Yeah,
And
so
I think in a way, it's like that's kind of what's happening with these countries, right? We're okay with with partying every
Participating?
4 years, having our hopes up. I think this year with Mexico, you saw social media was just going off the chains. I mean, social media, I think, had a big influence on how much of a dreamer you became, that maybe we'll make it this year. Y si sí la ganamos, and eso fue lo que te motivó.
Yeah, in
So,
terms of a revenue model, this is way better. Like a guaranteed participation every single World Cup will get you more money than,
right.
like, Italy hasn't made it in, what is it, like over 20 years or something? Like that's
Yeah, it's
crazy,
something
dude.
crazy. Yeah. And they've won
And they were
already like
world
twice.
they're like
Yeah,
the team that has won it the second most times.
yeah, exactly.
They're not
So,
making money right now.
and so that's another question, because Carlos was talking about corruption, right? Italy is no stranger to corruption, especially within their country, the government, and I
Their
think
league
within
too.
their leagues.
Yeah.
So why is it that they could win 2 or 3, but Mexico hasn't been able to win another one?
Well, they can't anymore, dude. The city ass sucks. It sucks balls, and Italy team sucks too. I don't know what's happening over there, but like, yeah, their quality went down.
Right.
Times
So
100. It's crazy.
so looking ahead, Carlos is saying Mexico. He doesn't think Mexico can really compete in the semifinal in 2030. Do you think the same, Edgar?
Yeah, I think so. I think I realized when they showed me on paper the value of the English players versus the value of the Mexican players, like, numbers don't lie, dude. Until we get to that value, like, it's just sometimes teams overperform and like they get lucky. But to do it consistently, like what France is doing and like these top teams, um, yeah, on paper you got to be worth a lot, and so we're not gonna get there.
No. Cape Verde, how much was that team worth?
Not a lot, dude.
And what did they do?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that there's outliers that overperform, but I don't think they're gonna do that consistently.
Yeah, but
This was their first
somehow
World Cup. They had heart, like, but to be consistent like that, it's hard.
somehow I strongly disagree with that notion of just looking at the paper and assessing a monetary value of a team and predicting its performing potential.
That's how the
It's a
odds
team
makers do it.
sport. It's a team sport. Cape Verde showed that, right? They have players who I don't know where they play, how much they're worth, but to me, they were the team for this World Cup. In my mind, Cape Verde won the World Cup. They competed against heavyweights. They competed well. They got good results, and they got a hero's welcome back home. right?
Yeah, I would agree with you that if we look at resources, population, and the history of how long you've been playing, like yeah, Cape Verde like way overperformed, and probably was the best team at the World Cup in terms of like their value, for sure.
So from what you guys are saying, it's like almost like there's also other wins in the World Cup aside from just the actual tournament, right? Like Cape Verde, right? Like that they impressed. They were the biggest surprise in the World Cup, right? And I think there's a lot of wins like that. Like Gilberto Mora, right? He's a very impressive kid. Um, and we can say the same thing for other players, right? That I think were who even if their team didn't win or don't win, uh, they they themselves have a win in the World Cup, right? So with that, if we were to twist it around of who lost the World Cup, who disappointed in the World Cup, who was the biggest flop, I think, especially when you guys are talking about resources, I think the U.S. is there, right? I mean, the
The
U.S.
U.S. is
having.
Mexico. The U.S. is Mexico for sure, in my mind.
Do the U.S. and Mexico have the same amount of resources to build soccer?
No, Mexico has a lot more because it has a longer story. It has more people who are paying attention to the sport who are probably playing it. But the sad reality is that I think the United States has a higher chance of outperforming Mexico
In the
in
long
World
run.
Cup. Yeah. And I think in recent history they have, right? Like I mentioned here, 2002. The United States made it to quarterfinals, right? Like top 8 by eliminating Mexico in the round of 16. And it's in my mind it's because of the ownership of how, Mexico does its game.
Flip the switch.
Y para discutir esto, para mí hay un caso muy familiar, el de Tijuana, el de los Cholos. La familia criminal más poderosa de Tijuana es dueña de los Cholos. Es la familia Hank. Uno de mis periódicos favoritos, el Z, a las semanas hasta el día de hoy. Tiene una hoja, un folleto, una plana, en donde tienen a su periodista cofundador, creo, el gato Félix, está mirando a la cámara y apuntando. Jorge Hank Ron. ¿Por qué tu guardaespaldas, Antonio Vera Palestina, me asesinó? Este anuncio se aparecerá cada semana hasta que los autores intelectuales de mi crimen sean capturados. En otras palabras, están diciendo que fue Jorge Hank Ron que mandó asesinar al cofundador del periódico Z por cuestiones políticas. Hasta el día de hoy, Jorge Hank Ron sigue viviendo normal, como si nada. Es dueño del equipo profesional de fútbol de Tijuana, donde juega Gilberto Mora. Y al final del día, ¿qué van a hacer con Mora? Negocio. Lo van a vender caro. Y es un buen proceder del club, ¿no? Pero ¿qué ha sido de los Cholos respecto a cómo compiten en la Liga Mexicana de Fútbol? Creo que ganaron el campeonato una vez, recién en cuanto subieron, que traían un proyecto así bien filoso de hacerse sentir en la liga, cuando el turco Mohamed los llevaba. Y ya de ahí en fuera, un equipo mediocre que nomás está ahí, de una afición muy, muy apasionada, que lo sigue a todos lados, que en general van a ver los partidos de fútbol y tiene la atracción de que pues vienen equipos profesionales del resto del país, ¿no? Que también tienen una afición bien representada en Tijuana y también van a asistir, apoyar a esos equipos, ¿no? Como el América, como el Cruz Azul, el Toluca, y hay gente en Tijuana que va y los apoya. Y pues es negocio, ¿no? Es lo es lo que les importa. Mientras la gente siga viniendo, siga apoyando, siga asistiendo, siga consumiendo, siga tomando cerveza, los pesos están fluyendo y ellos están bien. Y no tienen una iniciativa para ser campeones. Y yo pienso que este mismo modelo también aplica a México. Como dijo Edgar, mente México está llegando al Mundial. Llegan a la siguiente fase de 16 y de ahí les dan una patada en el culo y los mandan a su casa. A FIFA absolutamente le conviene que México vaya al Mundial siempre, porque México manda un chingo de gente al Mundial no importa dónde ocurra, ¿no? Entonces es un buen negocio. Es un buen negocio y tristemente bien predecible. Y pues sí, ¿no?
Y como que mantiene la misma fanaticada cada año. O sea, se pueden morir, se pueden hacer viejitos, pero los mismos papás crían a los hijos a que sean también fanáticos. O
Sí, güey.
aunque no,
Ahorita viene a la mente el fan mexicano Carmelo, güey.
el Caramelo, ajá, sí,
Hijo de
Caramelo.
Caramelo.
El
¡Ey, qué
Caramelo.
ridículo se me hace bien ridículo ese güey! Parece una caricatura de lo que todo lo demás del mundo piensa que es un mexicano con el pinche sombrero y un zarape y quién sabe cuántas madres trae.
Who is
Bueno,
this guy?
lo investigué un poquito y es un hombre de negocios, el güey, que
¿A
tiene varias
poco?
propiedades, varios negocios. Él mismo paga sus entradas, él mismo sigue a la selección y ya trae a su hijo ahí continuando la tradición.
Y no, y creo que este año fue el primer año creo que dijo que ya no lo iba a hacer y la FIFA le pagó, creo, o la Federación Mexicana, uno de los dos, para que siguiera yendo. Hasta comerciales ya tiene, ¿cómo la ves?
Sí lo vi en un comercial de McDonald's, ¿no? Que se me hace
Ajá,
así como aún más ridículo.
ajá. Sí, 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 sí. Pero es de generación, ¿verdad? O sea, ese es un ejemplo muy, muy, like, you can really see it, right? But I mean, I've seen it, right? Like I've seen friends of mine who have kids now, and their kids are Mexico. They're screaming Mexico, Mexico, Mexico. Why? Like my friend, you're from you're from uh you're from the hood down the street right here, man. You're not Mexican, he's like fourth, fifth generation, but he's screaming Mexico, Mexico. It's like a thing, right? And I feel like the US wants to do that, but I don't think they figured out how to do that. They've tried to do it USA, USA. They've done it
Well,
in every other sport except soccer.
I'll tell you one thing about USA is, I don't know what's up with MAGA and Republicans, but they're becoming the character snowflake that they've made fun of because this Trump like injected himself into sports, dude. I think after that, once Trump injected himself, anything he touches just turns to shit, dude. And it was evident in this US game. I don't know if that's the reason why they lost. And maybe it gave Belgium this extra edge to like really try to beat the US. But essentially, Flo Balogun got a red card. He's their best striker. Once they took him out, I was like, for sure they're gonna lose, dude, because he's the only one that really scores goals and he's really good. Um, and yeah, he got a red card. He was supposed to be suspended for the game against Belgium, but Trump intervened, called Infantino. You know, he's told him this is a ridiculous red card. Like, get him back in, and it worked, dude. What the heck? Freaking FIFA decided to lift the suspension, let Flo Balogun play, do US a favor, and it was international news. Other teams complain, like, what the hell is this? This is, I thought we're supposed to keep politics out of sports. And I think just Trump made it about himself rather than the team. I think this got into the USA's team mentally somehow, and it got into the Belgium's team. Like let's beat them. And yeah, they got smashed, dude. 4-1. The US looked awful that game, dude. Um, not connecting, like they couldn't connect three passes together. I think they went back like 50 years in progress just in that single game alone, doing mistakes that like my 7-year-old kid team would do, where like the keeper like misses a kick, loses the ball, the guy like just takes it away. It looked very like AYSO kind of plays.
But
Um,
but like Carlos was saying, like if it's all a business, like why wouldn't Trump feel like he can come in and interject? I mean, in his mind, he sees it as a business model. He doesn't care if the team's gonna get demoralized. He's an investor, I guess you can say. You know what I mean? He's an investor to the team, and so as an investor, he feels like he has a voice, and he's gonna go in and say, "Hey, um, here's my opinion. I think this is what we should do." With the U.S., do you think that they just self-sabotage themselves, like with the mental situation, also kind of like Mexico? Carlos was saying like there is this kind of like subconscious thought that a Mexican player kind of has, even the Mexican fan, where it's like, it's the European team. Like maybe we won't win. Maybe they'll beat us. It's that infamous fifth or sixth game now, right? Do you think the U.S. has something like that?
Yeah, I think theirs was more extreme though because when Mexico played England, they stepped it up and like they went out on their shield. If they're gonna lose, at least give it your all and go out in your shield. The U.S. like once they realize that they're playing a better opponent, that there's levels to this game, like they just completely fell apart.
Yeah, I heard Alexis Lalas say something like, "Oh, like I think he was talking about Portugal, Spain, and he made the comment of this isn't England against Mexico, right? Like these two are evenly matched." Essentially
Before the game or
implying
after the game?
after the game.
What the?
Essentially saying that England and Mexico were not evenly matched, that it was always going to be England, and then Mexico is levels below England. And then, when he talked about the US's loss to Belgium, he was a lot more nuanced, right? Like he brought a lot of context in, blah, 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 but he didn't say essentially what you're saying, which I agree with. Belgium was a better team. Maybe they got extra fuel that added to the fire because of Trump's intervention. I'm sure that happened. And honestly, I don't know what happened to the United States because they looked really good against Paraguay. And to my mind, they looked pretty good for the majority of the tournament. I would agree with the assessment that they played their worst game at the worst time against Belgium. And, it's unfortunate. And I think this is what distinguishes elite teams from the rest. Elite teams are zoned in. They believe in themselves individually and collectively. And before the game starts, they already know they're going to win because they deserve to win, because they're better, because they put in the work. And they're going to go out and prove that. And I think this is...
And the bigger teams also, like, they might lose the game in the group stage. And I think that's where the smaller teams might overperform. But I think the bigger teams know that, like, even if with the loss, like, they'll still go to the next round. But once they get to the next round and on, the competition gets, harder, tougher. You start relying on your bench a little bit more. Now it becomes like a mental game. That's where, like, the bigger teams that are used to being in that stage rise up. I don't know why. I think they're just like, we've been here before. We have this mindset that we've won it before, we can win it again. And the smaller teams break down the higher they go. Like, they're just
Eso
not
es
there.
Argentina. Con lo mucho que detesto a la selección argentina, esos güeyes creen en sí mismos, saben que son mejores y son muy orgullosos y lo van a demostrar. Y el partido no se acaba hasta que el árbitro silbe que se acabó. Y no importa si están abajo 2 o hasta 3, van a seguir buscando meter gol y ganar el encuentro. Y esos son huevos. Esos son huevos, eso es hambre, eso es fútbol. Y yo pienso que tristemente no tiene eso ni Estados Unidos ni México.
Hey, one more comment I want to make on the U.S. that I thought was funny is that Trump, like, contradicts himself all over the place. Because if you heard the speech of when he was talking to Infantino, he was praising Flo Balogun as, like, yeah, he's our, like, best forward, and, like, this doesn't make sense that you guys took him out or whatever. But if you look at Flo Balogun's history, his parents are Nigerian, and the only reason he's playing for the U.S. is because he was a U.S. citizen, born here in the U.S. through the 14th Amendment, when his parents were staying here in the U.S. on a vacation, and his mom was, like, too pregnant to fly back, and so she just had Flo Balogun here, and that's why he's a U.S. citizen. But under this ruling that Trump wants to get rid of, the 14th Amendment, if you're born here, you're guaranteed birthright citizenship. Essentially, he would be getting rid of people like Flo Balogun and like you and me, like us, where our parents were immigrants at the time we were born, and that would not guarantee us birthright citizenship. So he's saying it like we should get rid of all of the people like us, but then at the same time he's praising these guys that are playing on the U.S. team that are immigrants and like in that situation. So he's all over the place on that, man.
And it seems like every country kind of, I felt like this year, every country had a naturalized player of some sorts.
That's just how the world works, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, now, I mean, yeah, but, and it's very interesting that a lot of these teams really do depend on that. I mean, even Mexico, right? Quiñones, he's Colombian, right? And he was their top goal scorer, and Mexicans can be kind of racist, man.
I think teams reflect the reality of how the world works and what the world is. Like, if you look at France's team, there's majority black players.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing. I think the one that I did want to highlight though is Argentina's team. Like that one, if you look at it, it's so striking and so jarring looking at their team, and there's like no person of color, dude. It's insane. I was like, damn.
I mean, that's
And I looked
that's
at,
Argentina. That's
yeah,
their
I looked into
history.
their history, and apparently, like they actively try to rid the population of any black and indigenous people and look more European. So, and I saw it in their fans' conduct. Like, I don't know if you guys saw I Show Speed. He was at the Egypt versus Argentina game, and the Argentinian fans were just like, calling him racist remarks, acting like a monkey in front of him, and he was just like, dude, what's wrong with these guys, man? But
Wow. I don't know.
yeah, it's just disappointing, dude.
One quick comment too. The rich countries, the rich European countries, unsurprisingly have more competitive leagues because they recruit better players that tend to come from the global south. So it's like colonialism essentially giving the empire its harvest.
Right.
And this
right.
also relates to the demographic of the French players, right? France for a long time colonized big swaths of Africa. And now, it enjoys the fruits of that empire, right? With players like Mbappe, Dembele, go down the line of their team. The majority of them are descendant of African immigrants.
That's a good point of view. It's kind of, Edgar said it, right? It's a reflection of our world. And so why are these big countries good? Well, they extract the best natural resource, right? That they have, their people, right? And
It's everything they extracted.
yeah, I mean, yeah, right.
Material wealth. Now it's people.
So to kind of wrap up this episode, guys, I think this is our last World Cup episode, and so because this is a World Cup episode, just two questions. So my last two questions are: as the World Cup has been going on, how has your image of FIFA changed? Has it getting worse, better?
Both. I think one thing I liked even more and more as the tournament went on was the fact that they switched from 32 to 48. I really like that. One, because there was just so many games, man. Like every day they had multiple games, and it was so fun. And I remembered what the World Cup, the funnest part of the World Cup is always the group stage, when like it's just everybody's friends. It's a big party. People are welcoming. Everybody's enjoying a little bit of the culture, and you just get to see so many games. I think I really like that. I like that decision that FIFA made. But as the tournament goes on, it's evident who FIFA wants to continue progressing in the tournament, and quite honestly, like they don't even hide it. Infantino gets so happy every time Argentina scores, and he gets worried like when Egypt makes a comeback or like they're ahead. And the shit like bringing Phil Balogun, it's unfair, and so yeah, I just think FIFA needs to do some cleanup. We understand that they love Messi and he sells a lot of tickets and they want him to progress, but man, this is getting ridiculous, dude. Like the amount of fouls that Argentina gets in their favors statistically is just insane. And we saw that against the Egypt game, like probably one of the biggest robberies in the history of the sport. It was just so disappointing to see, and it's like just blatant. at this point.
And then Carlos, who do you think is gonna win it? To wrap it up,
Probably France. France is probably going to win it. But I also want to give props to the Egyptian coach for using his platform to denounce the crimes against the children of Palestine and of calling out the media for their essential complicity in not discussing this enough. He made a very good point that if you look at kids in Gaza, they have T-shirts from Real Madrid, from Manchester City, from Barcelona, from the biggest clubs, and yet their plight of being consistently bombarded for the last 1,000 days or so has been, for the most part, ignored by sports people who tend to stay in their lane, right? Sports journalists.
الارجنتين وبيلبسوا بتاعت برشلونه، بيلبسوا بتاعت السيتي، وبيلبسوا بتاع ريال مدريد اللي انتوا بتشوفوهم ده. بس انتوا بتشوفوا الناس دي هم بيحبوك وبيحبوا الكوره، بس انتوا برضو عمالين يتقتلوا وانتوا برضو ساكتين وعادي. انتوا حاسين بحاجه؟ انتوا حاسين بحاجه؟ المفروض ان كره القدم.
And this opens the door to speculation of whether FIFA was punishing Egypt for their coach's outspokenness in this relatively sensitive issues, end quotes, right? The sensitive issue for FIFA, who has been accused of the double standard of, kicking out Russia from all official competitions while giving Israel a pass for its crimes against humanity and its basic genocide. That game, the game of Egypt against Argentina, I didn't tune in because again, I'm just too invested in the underdogs and in Argentina losing. And from what I heard and from what Edgar just mentioned, it just really tuned me off from the rest of the cup. I don't think I'm going to watch today's game, which I think is Norway against England, or who plays today? Norway, England? Spain, Belgium?
Mhm.
Okay, so today's Spain, Belgium.
and then tomorrow. Yeah.
I'm not watching the rest of the cup, honestly. I think I've watched enough. I am soccered out, in quotes. So I kind of disagree with Edgar. It was too much. It was too much.
Lo voy a decir en español para que todos se me entiendan.
Toda esta pantalla de hermandad, de intercambio cultural, no es la intención de FIFA. La intención de FIFA principal es el negocio, es vender boletos, es llenar estadios. Ya la hermandad y el intercambio cultural es la gente, ¿no? Que tiene esa curiosidad por el otro y por entenderse, que es bonito y que me da fe en la humanidad. Pero mi opinión así resumida de FIFA es de que son una mafia, que tienen monopolio del deporte más bello del mundo y debería de ser cuestionado su monopolio sobre la transmisión de eso.
That's true. I like your points. I agree. I agree with what you guys mentioned today. Well, guys, that's it for our episode. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for giving your input about the World Cup. And whether you guys tune in or not, I think what we've highlighted during these last 4 episodes has been what I think is very evident on the TV screens. So, guys, another year, another Mexico loss, but somehow I still want to believe. For the next 4 years, I'm going to be back in the same boat, and I'm going to be like, sí se puede, sí se puede. So, ¿serán mentiras o no? ¿Quién sabe? But that's our episode for today, guys. See you guys on the next episode. Next episode, we'll go back to our regular episodes, and so we have a lot of good stuff stored up for you guys. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. See you on the next time.